Welcome to NDTV and BQ Prime special segment, Let's Talk Business. I'm Parmeshwar Bava and this is where you can catch the top news stories from the world of business and finance. Let's begin with the markets. Well, they extended their winning run to the 8th consecutive day. The Sensex rose over 230 points to end at 60,392. And as far as the Nifty is concerned, it too jumped 90 points to shut shop above 17,800. It was the pharma sector which led the rally. Buying was also seen in banks, financial services and metal stocks. My colleague Hiral Daria joins in with a wrap of all the market action.
Thank you, Parmeshwar. Absolutely a good day of trade for the markets today as well. Clearly, we've opened higher, taking cues from the global markets, and it was mainly the oil and gas as well as the financials that supported in the first half of the trading session. This is the 8th consecutive session of gains that we've seen, and overall, it seems that the investors have regained their faith in the markets, taking the macros into consideration. Buying was seen in banks, financial services as well as metal counters, whereas if you see from a sector perspective, it's the Nifty Pharma Index which was the top gaining sector today, with a lot of stocks from a Divi's Laboratories to a lot of Slabs, a Biocon seeing smart gains. Most of the FMCG stocks traded with losses in today's session. So clearly investors are using buy on dip strategy and sell on rise. That's what comes out of the wash from here. FIs have continued to remain buyers in the equity market over the last couple of trading sessions, and the breadth is also clearly favoring the bulls. So it's a 100 points range that we are seeing on the Nifty in today's session, whereas a 200 to 250 points range is what we saw in terms of Bank Nifty. IT was in focus as well in today's session. Apart from that, you had the private banking space which contributed to the gains. PSUs were under pressure. In terms of top gainers, Bajaj Auto, Adani Enterprises as well as Coal India were the top gainers on Nifty 50. Whereas if you see in terms of the newsmakers, pipe companies were up in trade on the back of Ashish Kacholia increasing stake in Venus. Bale and Titagarh Wagons was up in trade on the back of an order win. Sula Vineyards on the back of a strong business outlook was up in trade. Ambuja Cement, Neogen, IndusInd Bank as well as Biocon, these were few of the top gainers as well on the back of news coming in. So overall, a good session that we witnessed in today's session. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Titagarh Wagons and Bharat Heavy Electricals rallied in their trade today after their consortium won an order from the Ministry of Railways. The companies received an order to supply 80 sleeper class Vande Bharat trains. This at a whopping cost of 120 crore rupees per train. We spoke to Umesh Chaudhary, the VC and MD of Titagarh Wagons. Here's what he had to say.
This is a tender that was floated by the Indian Railways for 200 Vande Bharat trains, procurement and service of 200 Vande Bharat trains. The scope of the tender entails supply of these trains and 35-year maintenance of these trains, full maintenance of these trains. So it's a very interesting business opportunity for anybody and particularly for us. This tender was opened about 3 or 4 months ago, and we were L2. So being L2, we've got 40% of the tendered quantity, which is 80 trains, at the rate, as you said, of 120 crores, plus there is maintenance. So the total value of the contract works out to around 24,000 crores between us and BHEL. I mean, we are very extremely excited because, this has been a kind of a target for us to get into the modern passenger trains. And Vande Bharat, as we all know, is the aspiration of the India of tomorrow. So to be a part of that aspiration of the future of India, it's not only an order win, but it's also a kind of a very big milestone in the life of any company, and especially a company like ours.
And after nearly a year, the Bitcoin has climbed above the $30,000 mark this week. The world's largest cryptocurrency is up over 80% this year. And according to the Bank of America, the stellar rally may have room to run if flows between cryptocurrency exchanges and personal digital wallets continue. A net $368 million of Bitcoin was sent to personal wallets in the past week. And according to analysts, investors transfer tokens from exchange wallets to their personal wallets when they intend to hold them. The rally has come amid a drop in crypto market liquidity and trading volumes following the bankruptcies. And with the start of a new financial year, the new income tax laws also kick in. And a salaried individual like you should start tax planning this month itself. And I should take a note from that too. But it's important that you choose between the old and new tax regime before you draw your salary in April. My colleague Alexander Matthew is here to explain why. Alex, over to you.
Thanks, Parmeshwar. Well, it's the start of the new financial year, and usually this is a time when you make declarations for the tax-saving investments that you will make over the course of the financial year. But this is also an important time this year because you will have to choose between the old tax regime and the new tax regime. And that's because the government has made the new tax regime the default option this year. So if you don't specify that you want to follow the old tax regime, your tax will be deducted as per the new tax regime. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the new tax regime, it was introduced a couple of years back in order to bring simplicity in the process of tax paying. It did away with a lot of the deductions, or rather most of the deductions that you could claim under the old tax regime, and it introduced more slabs for the calculation of income tax, and the rates were reduced on those slabs. But there weren't a lot of takers for the new tax regime, and so the government added a few sweeteners in this year's budget. There was the introduction of a 50,000 rupees standard deduction for the new tax regime, and the government also said that income up to 3 lakh, the first 3 lakh, would not be taxable. So if you're wondering which to choose, you'll have to do a calculation based on your income and also the expenses that you have in a year. But just as a thumb rule to follow, if you have a home loan that you're repaying and you have a significant interest component in that, or in fact, if you are paying rent on a monthly basis, then you're probably better off choosing the old tax regime. However, if you've only been claiming ATC, that is a benefit of up to 1.5 lakh, that is deductible from your income for taxable purposes, then you're probably better off choosing the new tax regime because that benefit is essentially wiped out. Now, there are a lot of emails that you probably miss. This is one that you should pay attention to when your employer sends it out this month.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that update. Meanwhile, the industrial world lost one of its tallest leaders today. Chairman Emeritus of Mahindra and Mahindra, Keshav Mahindra, passed away today at the age of 99. He had served as the chairman of Mahindra and Mahindra for 49 years, and a well-known philanthropist and businessman. He had served on the boards of several companies, including Tata Steel, the Steel Authority of India Limited, Tata Chemicals, Indian Hotels, as well as ICICI. Mr. Mahindra has been credited with transforming M&M from an assembler of vehicles into a frontline automotive company with a leadership position in tractor manufacturing and a significant market share in India's booming utility vehicle market. That's all we could pack in this episode of Let's Talk Business. We'll be back at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow with the top news stories from the world of business and finance.